What's up, good people? What's up? How's everyone? How's everyone? We're back. We are back. Happy New Year. Let me look down. Can I say, Anna Redding, can I say this? I always wonder who watches on Periscope, but Anna, you are always there. Thank you very much. She's royalty on Periscope. Wow, Periscope is popping this morning for sure. What's up, Periscope? My man Sharif on LinkedIn, Devon, everybody checking in. I see you. What? Oh, the comments are too fast now. Comments are too fast. Gary, Simone, Selena, Neith. What's up, Crystal? Sterling, my sis Sterling, Jabril Ahmed, Frederick Xavier, everybody on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Periscope, because Periscope is official, on YouTube. I want to say from the bottom of my, I would say part, and I no longer have a part. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say Happy New Year. Now, today, we've got some serious business, folks. We've got some serious business. I've been thinking about what I could do to bring something special to you right at the top of the year, right? And I started thinking about this in November. I was thinking, what could I do? I want to bring something special. I want to do something big. I want to make sure that this is a significant impact in your life. And this is my idea. My idea is to kind of reflect back on the last year of interviews, because I've had an opportunity to interview some phenomenal people. And I want to share with you what I consider to be the biggest gems as you are looking to either start a business or you're looking to grow your business, right? But the first thing, can I say this, is I see so many folks saying Happy New Year. My man, Tony Alexander, I see you. Marcus Hammonds, I see you, man. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let me ask real quick. You know, I always like to start off a chat with something real simple. Here's my question right out the gate. Where are you watching from, and what are you drinking? Let's see what the population looks like. My man Ricardo, what's up? What's up, man? My little cuz Ricardo. All right, so what are you drinking? Where are you watching from? All right, this is very important. Let me see what we got. We got, oh my goodness, we've got water in Houston. I didn't know y'all had any water in Houston. I thought y'all drank something else in Houston. No. All right, I see West VA. My man Brandon Scott, West VA, water. Well, a lot of water drinkers. All right, Maryland coffee. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, Cleveland coffee. Harlem. Natasha, I see you drinking. See, in Harlem, they don't just drink water. She's got alkaline water, right? Everybody in Harlem is special, right? They take it to that extra level. So of course they got alkaline water. I see London. There you go, London, UK. I just got back from London last week. My family and I will be returning in another 2 weeks or so. So I see cranberry juice, Lad. That's what I'm talking about, Lad. I've realized there's a lot of interesting lingo between the US and the UK. Like here in the US, like you're my boy, like you'd be my boy. But in the UK, like you're my mate, you know, you're my lad. So I like the lingo. All right, so California, she's still in bed. She's still in bed. Keller Price. All right, Australia tea. Okay. All right, you know I've got to get it. I have to get a Jamaica in here. Kingston JA. D didn't even say what D's drinking. It doesn't matter because you're in Kingston. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what you're drinking. I should have, no, actually, I didn't want to go there. It's too early for the jokes. It's too early for the joke. Actually, I was going to say, where are you watching from and what are you smoking? Because I know we have that audience here. Where are you watching from? I should have said that. That'll be the next one. All right, where are you watching from and what are you smoking? All right, that's the next one. That's the next one. All right, my man Ricardo like said, okay. So we all know that we're watching from all over the world, right? We also know that we're drinking. Peggy, oh my gosh, I see my sis Peggy. Can I say Peggy, one of my favorite people on the planet, Peggy Woolman and her husband, Richard Woolman. Shout out to you, Peggy. All right, so let's do this, okay? Today, as I was mentioning at the top, I wanted to figure out what I could do that was special, what I could do to bring some extra value to you. Now, I want you to listen to the following message, because this is very, very important. I'm coming to you as either big bro or little bro, but I'm coming to you out of love today. All right. I'm coming to you out of love. But let me tell you what I'm not going to do today. Today, I'm not here to debate whether or not what I'm about to tell you is going to be impactful to you growing your business or to you starting your business. I'm not here to debate the validity of what I'm telling you. And the reason why is because I'm a grown man right now, right? I feel 2021, I really feel like I'm in my zone, okay? I've been doing this for a long time. I've been running businesses for a long time, successful businesses for a long time. I've been coaching mentees who have been running successful businesses for a long time. I have friends who have successful businesses all over the world. I've been interviewing people for the last 10 years who run successful businesses. I'm no longer here to debate the validity of what I have to say, okay? I'm here just to spit facts. I'm here just to basically say, hey, as your big brother, as your little brother, whoever I am to you, I'm here just to tell you, hey, here's what you need to do. This is the yellow brick road. This is not me guessing. This is not me hypothesizing. This is not me trying to come up with some quick 10 little hacks for you just to fill up a presentation. No, this is a decade plus of hardcore hustle and work. And what I've done is I've decided to distill 10 steps for you. Now, when I say these are 10 steps for you, let me pull up this so you see what we're working with here. All right. This is what we're working with right here. Okay. 10 steps entrepreneurs can take to make $1 million in 2021. Let me break down what this really means, because I'm going to say things that you're going to say, Paul, man, you've changed on us. It's not that I've changed on you. I'm now impatient. The reason why I'm impatient is because I know a lot of you for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. I know some of you here watching for 15 years, okay? I know a lot of you who have been talking about starting businesses for a decade and you've never started. I know some of you have started working on your business, but quite honestly, you're half-assing your business. Not whole-assing, as I say, you're half-assing your business. I know some of you who have started and you're working diligently on your business, but you're not willing to admit where you have gone off the path, right? What I'm here to tell you are 10 steps, and this is my commitment. This is something that I believe. I truly believe if you do all 10 of these, whether you just have a business idea or you've already started your business and you're working on that path to growing the revenue, if you do all 10 of these authentically and earnestly, I believe you're going to grow your revenue to $1 million and beyond. All right. I truly believe this. You do all 10 of these, all 10 earnestly, I believe you will grow your business to $1 million and beyond. Now, will it take 1 year? Will it take 5 years? Will it take 10 years? I don't know how long it's going to take, but I really believe, I'm not going to say I guarantee. Actually, I should say I guarantee. I should bet somebody on this. I should really, if somebody wants to take this wager, take the wager with, actually, who wants to take a wager with me? Who wants to take a wager? Who wants to take a wager right now that if you do all 10 of these, your business will go to 1 million or more? Who wants to take that wager? Who wants to take that? And I'm saying you have to be ready. You have to be willing to put something up of value. Who wants to take that wager? Somebody jump into the chat with me. Who wants to take that wager? All right. I see nobody stepping up right now to take that. Okay. Okay. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. I see. Who was the first? I saw. Was it Angelica? Who was it? Just side note. This is my man Jason's been rocking with me for at least a decade. Let me just say something about Jason. This is what I love about Jason. I remember way back in the day, somebody said something sideways about one of my sons. And Jason slid into my DMs. He was like, "Hey, bro, you want me to take care of that for you?" I was like, "Hey, Jason is my homie for life. Like, Jason is my homie for life." So let me just say, I'm going to try not to digress too much on this. But anyway, somebody said, "I will do this. I will take it." All right, I'm going to take this. Paul. His name is Paul. He wants to take this wager. All right, Paul, here's my commitment. Here's my commitment to you. All right, everybody remember this, Paul, okay? Paul Pereira, okay? Paul, I don't know where you are in your business, and this is for everybody though, but let me just do this with Paul. Paul, if you do all 10 of these earnestly, I don't know where you are in your business, let me say this. You do all 10 of these earnestly, and if you have not seen and we'll define what substantial revenue uptake is, right? I don't know what substantial revenue is to you, but let's say you and I will come up with substantial, slide into my DMs, we'll come up with substantial. If you don't have substantial revenue impact or uptick in 12 months from following all 10 of these steps, I'll give you $1,000, 1,000 US, 1,000 US. I will literally PayPal to you or wherever you are, because sometimes countries are not taking PayPal. I will send you 1,000 US. Everyone watching, we have over 1,000 people watching on all these platforms. They're all going to hold me accountable. I'll send you 1,000 US if you have not had a substantial uptick in 12 months. But here's the catch. The catch is you have to report. I'm going to set you up with my assistant, okay? You have to report to me each month what you're doing in all 10 categories, okay? By the way, this is something that all of you could be doing right now. You hold yourself accountable. If you want an accountability partner, jump in the chat right now. Say you want an accountability partner right now. Say you want one. Match up with each other right now, right? This is what community is. Match up. Say, I want an accountability partner. All 10 of these, you have to do. Each month, I want you to report back to my assistant, or for you all that want to do this, report to each other. And if you are half-assing any of these 10, then you have to give me something. Maybe not $1,000. We'll work it out, right? But you got to do something for me, right? Something of value. If you half-ass just 1 month, then that's it. It's done. It's out. It's over. I won. But if you are going hard every month in all 10 of these categories, you're going to see a substantial uptick. And if you don't, I'll give you $1,000. All right. So can we get started? Brandy wants an accountability partner, right? A lot of people want accountability partners in here. Jump in with each other. Judy wants one, right? Make sure everybody grab a body right now. You can have multiple accountability partners, okay? Everybody, this is what it's about. Okay. I'll give you a custom fit mask for you and your loved ones. All right, Paul. I want something of higher value, though. I mean, we all need a mask, but Paul, I'm giving you $1,000. Give me something more than a custom fit mask, all right? But we'll work it out. But Paul, all right, we're now, Paul, I'm now your accountability partner for the year, okay, Paul? All right. So now, let's get going. Tasty. A lot of people are saying that they want accountability partners. All right. So let's get started. Let me zoom in. Let's talk about some things on the front end, just so we can talk about how many entrepreneurs there actually are out here. Okay, because a lot of us don't realize that around the world, and it's hard. It was hard for me to really find these statistics. I had to do a lot of estimates, to be quite honest with you. But there are 2.5 billion entrepreneurs out here who are running full-time businesses who don't have employees. And the reason why I want to set this stage is because I just want to set for you the stage of just how challenging it is to make money as an entrepreneur. Because we're told, be an entrepreneur, jump into entrepreneurship. You see all of these stories about Elon Musk and Jeffrey Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates making $230 billion over the last year, right? You hear all of these stories and you think, oh, I'll just be an entrepreneur and I'll make lots of money. But let me tell you, around the world, most businesses are non-employee led businesses. There's billions of these businesses. And guess what? Here's the sad state of affairs. This is it. 36,000 US is the average amount of money that these businesses are making. So let me ask you, it depends on where you live in the world, but can you live on this? Can you live on 36,000 US per year? Can you send your kids to the schools that you want to send them to? Can you take the vacations that you want to and get the experiences that you want? Can you give back to your parents and your family? Can you do that on 36,000 US per year? Well, maybe if you live in, Nigeria, right? If you look maybe actually in Jamaica, right? If you live in some of these places, maybe, but for the most part, we can't do it. So here's the question. The question that I have for you is, how many of these 2.5 billion businesses do you believe will make over $1 million in annual revenue? I'm talking about 1 million USD. How many do you think? Drop it in the chat. How many of the 2.5 billion businesses around the world, do you believe will make over 1 million US? Because here's the point. You go online every day, everyone's saying, oh yeah, I run a 7-figure business. I make 7 figures. I do 7 figures. You get hit in the head with Facebook ads all day about how people are making 7 figures. Quite honestly, 90% of that is lies, I believe. But the question becomes, what percentage? I see 2%. Look at this, Angelica, all right? Angelica, let me tell you why Angelica's on point. Because here's the sad state of affairs. Less than 1%, you definitely got that right. See, some saying 20, 30%. No. See, this is the thing. Less than 1% of the 2.5 billion businesses will make over 1 million US ever, annually, ever. Less than 1%. A disproportionate amount of those are going to be making their money in the US, all right? So I say all of this because if you could grow your business to over 1 million US per year, you are doing something that literally 99% of all businesses in the world are not doing. If you could grow your business to over 1 million in revenue per year, you will be able to not only change your life, you'll be able to change the life of your family. You'll be able to change the life of your employees that you hire. You'll be able to change the life of those around. You will literally be able to change your life. This is the reason why I'm focusing on this $1 million figure. It's not because I'm caught up in the 7-figure, thing that it feels like we're all caught up in. It's because I just want to emphasize, when you could create that level of revenue, you're going to change your life. You're going to change the lives of others. All right. So now I have been interviewing this past year, I interviewed 100 people, but I've interviewed hundreds of people over the last 10 years. Okay. And here's the commonality. Here's what I've been looking for when I interview folks. And you're going to see something, you're going to see an interesting commonality here, okay? The first is, if someone could grow their business to $1 million in sales, I'm paying close attention, right? That's someone who I'm interested in potentially interviewing. When someone can maintain that revenue for 3+ years, this is important because you can actually, I think that you can hack your way to $1 million over a year. And we could talk about this later, but you can hack your way to it, right? But can you sustain that for multiple years? Someone could do that. I'm paying close attention to you. If you can have income of over 20%, I don't want to go too crazy with the finance stuff here, but revenue is called top line. That's sales. And then out of your revenue, you have lots of expenses. Number one expense, employee expenses. You have product expenses. You have operational expenses. You have cell phone expenses. You have all kinds of expenses, right? Once you get to the very bottom, after you've taken out all those expenses, that's your income. If you can have a 20% income, so 20% on 1 million, that's $200,000. If you could have a 20% or higher income, I'm paying attention to you. Okay, I'm paying close attention to you. If you could do all of this with no VC funding, I want to say something that's very important is that we celebrate VC culture. We celebrate this. I don't. I have lots of friends who are venture capitalists, but I don't celebrate this. And the reason why I don't celebrate this is because why should we get excited when we give up 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90% of our company, right, of our baby, to someone else? Most of us start businesses so that we can have autonomy and control over our lifestyle, control over our time, control over our impact. And when you give up that control to someone else, typically people who you're going to hate, trust me, I've been down this path. I've raised money before. Typically people who you are not going to like, let me clean this up because they might be watching right now. I won't say hate. People who you might not like very much, okay? If you do that, why should we be celebrating this? I personally, I don't celebrate VC culture, all right? This is just me. The next is this, Black. This is very important, very important. I want to spend a second on this. I wrote this in the post, but I want to spend a second on this. If you go look at all the top business periodicals right now, The Economist, Forbes, Entrepreneur, Fast Company, Inc. Like, if you go look at these companies and you go look at these media sites and you go look at their entrepreneur section or their small business section, 100% of the time, you're going to see what I call a Silicon Valley tech bro company represented. You're going to see an article on one of these companies, right? Right now, Clubhouse, everyone's talking about Clubhouse and the founders of Clubhouse and blah, 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 which, by the way, disproportionately Clubhouse grown on the backs of Black people, but yet there's no real Black equity that Black people have in Clubhouse. But here's my point. My point is this, is that we are in a culture that celebrates a select group of people. And the problem, and I was even looking at this today when I was looking at my books over here. I have all these business books, you know, Hyper Focus, Influenced by Cialdini. Of course, I have Why Should White Guys Have Fun by Richard Lewis. But I have all these, you know, I read all these business books. All the time I'm reading business books. And if you read these business books, rarely do you see the focus on anyone Black. Sure, you'll see Damon John from Shark Tank. He gets all the Black love right now, right? You'll see once in a while, you'll see one little focus on a Black company, typically a Black person in the United States. But I'm here to tell you right now, this is fact. Black people around the world have the largest hurdles, the biggest impediments when it comes to running businesses. And I don't need to debate any of this because this is fact, all right? If you disagree with me, get off this session, all right? Black people around the world. Now, I'm not saying that other people don't have problems. Yeah, other people have problems and issues. and challenges when it comes to running businesses and growing businesses, but disproportionately when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to funding, when it comes to every step of the way, Black people have a harder time growing businesses. And I'm even talking about when we're in Africa, right? Because the disproportionate amount of funding in Africa goes to white-led businesses. This is very important. This is very important for us to understand that Black people have the hardest time running businesses. It's just fact, right? Now, who should you study? And I'm talking about if you are of any ethnicity, who should you study? Should you study the story of Mark Zuckerberg? Yeah, sure. I think there's some gems there. Should you study the story of like an Elon Musk? Sure, I think there's some gems there. There are gems that you could pick up. Should you study, everyone loves Gary Vaynerchuk. Should you study Gary Vaynerchuk? Sure, I think there's some gems there. Some gems there. But if you go study a Lovey, you go study a Nana Kwame Bediako in Ghana, you go study a Carl Loco in the UK, you go study, you go study Byron Allen in LA, right? You go study, and typically any Black entrepreneur, you're not going to find some gems. You're going to find a ridiculous litany of gems. Their entire story is going to be chock filled of gems. Why? Because they have had a difficult time growing their business. And if you're going to learn how to grow your business, who would you rather learn from? So my point is this. We need to change the narrative around Black thought leadership in business. And how to do that is for us to really study these Black businesses from around the world and extract the lessons on how they've been able to build their business. Because let me tell you something. If you find a business that has all of these things, over $1 million in sales, they've done it for over 3 years, income is 20% or more, no VC funding, and they're Black, right there is the blueprint. That's the blueprint. If you just take that from this lesson, then just take that and go run with it. Because if you find businesses that fit all of those, they have the blueprint on how you should run your business. That is exactly how I determine who I'm going to interview on my podcast, Better with Paul. This is basically how I determine if I'm going to interview you. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Okay. Now, can we get started? We didn't even get started yet. All right. I'm just warming up right now. But now let's get started. Let's get on the 10 steps. So the following 10 steps, okay, these are 10 steps that I have extracted from either my interviews as a business columnist for USA Today, my interviews for my podcast, Better with Paul, or the community that I have called BWP Connect. It's a membership community. We have conducted a lot of interviews there. I've pulled gems from those. So I've looked at all of these folks and I pulled my top 10. So here's my top 10. Let's get to number 1. All right. The first one is coming from the first person that I interviewed for Better with Paul. And I selected this person because I believe she embodies everything I stood for in the podcast. You know, focusing on legacy, focusing on financial freedom, right? Focusing on ambition. And one of the things that I found so interesting when I interviewed her, and keep in mind, is this is someone who I have been tracking for a decade. Like literally, I've been straight up stalking her for a decade. And I've watched her go from working for someone else. So I watched her literally go from, she was working for another company. She was a part-time blogger, became full-time blogger, full-time writer, now full-time provocateur. So I've watched her for over 10 years. And when I interviewed her and she said the following, it completely blew my mind. Now, who am I talking about? Lovey. All right. This is what Lovey said. And this is the lesson that we need to pull from Lovey. All right. She said, I know her better than she knows herself. I know her better than she knows herself. What is Lovey talking about right there? She's talking about the first step, the most important step. By the way, these steps are essentially in order, okay? The most important step for your business, that is, you must know your avatar. Step number one, know everything about your avatar. Now, I'm not going to belabor these steps. I'm going to try to go through them in rapid fire. But your avatar is your customer, right? The problem that most of us have is we go after a wide group of customers, right? Different ethnicities, different ages, different geographic regions. We go after a wide group of people. And when you go after a wide group of people and you think you're talking to everyone, you're actually talking to no one. And time after time after time, year after year after year, I've seen that when people can focus on one avatar and learn everything about their avatar, you will exponentially grow your business. This is exactly what Lovey did. Lovey is unapologetic on who her avatar is. And when she said that in the interview, it made all the sense in the world to me, because you could go onto her Instagram, you could read her books, you can look at, watch her TED Talk, which is one of the most popular TED Talks ever. And she's talking to one person. Now, the fact that she's talking to one person, does that mean that she doesn't talk, that her message misses everyone else? No, right? You can have one specific avatar, talk to your one specific avatar, and still reach everyone else. But the difference here is that you should never deviate from your avatar. You must know everything. You must become obsessed with your avatar. So let me help you. We know that the step here is that you want to create an avatar. Here are 3 resources to help you, right, to create an avatar. One is listen to the first episode of Better with Paul. You're going to get a chance to hear Lovey talk about her avatar and talk about how she knows everything about her avatar. And more importantly, you're going to hear Lovey talk about the fact that she knows the deep pain points of her avatar. Okay, so listen to that episode. Another resource is right here. I want to shout out my sis, Dawn Easter. I don't have a special deal with Dawn. I'm not trying to dupe you guys into go to Dawn and hire her and she's going to give me a kickback. No, I'm not about that today. But this is my ministry today. Okay. I'm spitting game right here. That's it, right? Dawn is someone who's a friend of mine. I've known Dawn for a long time. Dawn is also a mentee, okay? Dawn is someone who knows everything there is to know about how to determine if you have the right avatar and if you know everything that you need to know about your avatar. I saw that Dawn has a website, she's like this updated website, and on it she has a free download of all of the questions that you should be asking to determine if you know enough about your avatar. It's a free download. I suggest everybody take advantage of it, okay? The point here is that you have to know the deepest pain point of your avatar. Donald Miller, he wrote about this in his book, Building a Story Brand. And this is very important, is that most businesses, they sell to the external, right? They sell to the, for example, I don't know, but let's take my iPhone, right? Most businesses will sell to, if they're trying to sell you a mobile, they might sell to the point of, oh, you want a mobile because you want to call your mother, right? That's the external, right? The deeper is that, you know what, you want to stay connected to your family because 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 of COVID, because of whatever, like you don't feel connected to your family. So the deeper point there is that you want to be connected to family, not that you just want to make a phone call, but you want to be connected. There's a deeper desire. The point is that with your avatar, you must know the deepest desires of your avatar. Okay, deepest desires. So that's number two. That's another resource. And then another resource is right here. Dawn did a masterclass in BWP Connect, right? I talked about this community. This is a community that I ride for, right? She's already done a full masterclass on this. So if you're a part of BWP Connect, you can watch that whole masterclass, all right? The point is this. The point is make sure you know your avatar. This is step one. You must know your avatar. You must know everything about your avatar, because that's how you're going to build your product, and that's going to be how you speak to them, all right? Now, what's the second step? Second step is an interview that I did, or should I say I learned the second step from an interview that I did with someone who I consider to be one of the most creative people in the world. Someone who I'm just utterly proud of. And I've had the opportunity to interview him on 2 occasions. And the first time I interviewed him in his art studio. And it was literally when I fell in love with art. He had a Dustin Yellen sculpture in his foyer area. And I remember him explaining to me, and telling me about, asking me how the structure made me feel. And I literally fell in love with art that day. And so I'm thankful to him for teaching me about art. But more importantly, I'm thankful for this gem, right? So this is someone, he's worth, hundred. I don't want to count his dollars, but I do like to count. To be honest with you. I'm estimating that he's worth about between 150 and $300 million. And what I find interesting is that typically when he touches something, it does phenomenally well. And I asked him, I was asking him, how do you determine whether or not you're going to take a project, right? How do you determine if you're going to take a project? And this is exactly what he said. Right there. It's exactly what he said. This is none other than Kasim Dean, Swizz Beats. I interviewed him for my column at USA Today. And he said, I only do it if I believe I can make history. Let me just sit with that for a second. Just sit with that for a quick, let me get a drink. Hold on. Did you feel that? Am I the only one that felt that? I only do it if I believe I can make history. Think about that. I don't take a project unless I believe my impact on the project is going to change the course of the future. Let that sit with you for a second. Because how many of y'all like to just, oh yeah, you want to do some a water business? Let's do a water business. Oh, I want to do a stapler business. Let's do a stapler business. Oh, let me do a pen business. Yeah, pen business is good. Oh yeah, let's sell sweaters. Yeah. Think of how many of us just start whatever versus those who say, I'm going to hold my God-given talent, my God-given skill, my unique experiences on this earth. I'm going to hold it, and I'm only going to touch those things that I know I could change the course of the future, and clearly I can make history doing. Think about that. How many of y'all do that? How many of y'all do that? Think of how your life would change if you only did that. If you only did that. That's what I'm talking about. Like that, look at that. This hit me. Shout out to my sister Ramunda, by the way, running my favorite bookstore in the world, Mahogany Books, coming out of DC, right? But this is what I'm saying. Think about that. Think about that. Now, the step is this: create unique solutions. This is second step. First step, remember, know everything about your avatar. Secondly is create a unique solution. What does unique mean? Unique means extraordinary, not ordinary, never been done before, not being done, right? Insert the words or the phrase that you need, but you need to make sure that if you are starting a business or you are growing your business, that you are providing something that no one on the planet provides. This is a major problem with entrepreneurs. They just serve it up the same way, right? No, you have to create a unique solution. You have to think, I'm only going to touch this if I believe I can make history doing this, if I could serve someone in a different, unique way. So how do you do that? Here are 3 resources to help you to create unique solutions, okay? Real simple. Your avatar should express life-changing sentiment. What does that mean? When you have your business, when you're rolling out whatever product it is, whatever service it is, right? My sis Ramunda with Mahogany Books, she is a bookstore, right? You think, man, there's lots of bookstores. There's Amazon, right? There's lots of bookstores. But Ramunda actually serves it up differently. And I'm one of her customers. Me, Jill, the boys, we're her customers. She literally, it's life-changing. If your avatar is not expressing that what you are providing or what you are serving is not life-changing, it means it doesn't speak to their inner why. It doesn't speak to their deep pain point. Yes, a bookstore can be life-changing. You need to figure out how whatever it is that you do, you're selling coffee, you're selling water, that your avatar thinks that what you are doing is life-changing, okay? Your avatar must think this. Next up is this. Read the book Lean Startup, okay? Read this book, The Lean Startup, written by Eric Ries, another Silicon Valley tech bro, okay? But what I love about this is he talks about this concept of MVP, minimum viable product. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but the point here is that read that book. It will teach you about how to create uniqueness around a product, all right? And then, for those who are in the BWP Connect community, I've already done a full 4-hour class on this. 4 hours that I've talked about this. 4 hours. I've talked about how you create a unique solution, how you build it, how you break it down, right? Get in the community. Get in the community. Actually, this is a good time to plug the community. Get in the community. Do I have a link for it? Oh, I don't even know if I have a link for it. Here it is. Get in the community, all right? But the point is this. The point is make sure that you are creating a unique solution. Because if you're not creating a unique solution, then it means that your product is missable. And the moment that your product is missable, that means, right? So let's get up to the next. So that's step 2, right? Step 2, create a unique solution. Step 3 is this one. All right, step 3 is this. Now, step 3 came from the person that I believe is probably one of the smartest entrepreneurs that I've ever interviewed. This is someone who is he's created a company that nearly does $1 billion. This year, he's on course to do over $1 billion US. He's at about 850 million US. No funding, no VC funding. He is a young man, young Black man, and he's doing this in Africa. Now, here's the gem that he dropped. And I'm going to tell you what, this next step, I believe, is literally worth thousands of dollars. I repeat, this next step, I believe, is worth thousands of dollars. This next step will change your business, period. What's the step? All right. So I was interviewing this gentleman. Okay. I was interviewing this gentleman. And by the time he was 18 years old, he already had saved 1 million pounds. Now, can I repeat that? Because I mean, let that really think about that. By the time he was 18, right? He lived in he's from Ghana. He moved to the UK. He was in school and he was conducting various businesses, and he already had saved in the bank. He had put 1 million pounds in the bank. All right. And for those of you that don't know, a pound is worth more than a US dollar. All right. So how many of you all, let me ask you a real question. How many of you all would just call it quits if you had 1 million pounds in the bank? If you had 1 million pounds in the bank, because you could live off interest, you could probably parlay that to $100,000 a year, 100,000 pounds in interest per year. Would you just call it quits? Would you call it quits, or would you keep going? I'm just curious. Would you call it quits, or would you keep going? All right. This man said, nah. This man said, I'm going to keep going. Now, here's where he dropped the gem that completely changed my mind forever. I said, so how are you making 1 million pounds? And he said, well, I'm selling, he was selling metal. Like literally, he was like taking metal that when your car gets a ticket and you have like 3 tickets and they lock up your tires, he was literally taking the metal off, right? So this flirted on the lines of legal, but he would take the metal off, and he had a crew that would go run out, take metal off and sell it, right? He sold clothes. Like, so if you saw like, Gucci knockoffs and Louis Vuitton knockoffs and all that stuff, he literally was selling all that stuff, right? He was getting the money wherever he can get it. But this is the moment that changed my life. He told me that he had a partner. And his partner, so he and his partner were running this business that he personally had already put 1 million pounds in the bank. So this means that he's making millions. And then he told me that he left his partner and he went back to Ghana. Would you leave your partner? If your partner was, and I was like, was your partner stealing from you? No. Was your partner good to you? Yes. Could you trust your partner? Yes. If you could trust your partner was helping you make millions of pounds, like, would you leave that partner? I was thinking, why in the world would you leave a partner like that? Here's what he said. My man David said, no, yeah, David's like, I wouldn't leave a partner. Exactly. David, I was thinking the same thing. Here's what he told me that changed my life forever. Here's what Nana Kwame Bediako said. He said the problem with his partner is his partner took the same amount of risk that I did. Let that sit in real quick, because this is thousands of dollars worth of game right here that will change your life. His partner took the same amount of risk that he did. What does that mean? Aha. This took me days to think about and to unpack, right? Nana Kwame Bediako, one of the smartest entrepreneurs I know, all right? Here's what this means. You have to assess and balance your risk level. Let me break this down. The biggest problem that I see with people who are trying to start their entrepreneurial journey or grow their entrepreneurial journey is that they are adverse to risk, or they take too much risk. What? So they either don't take enough risk or they take too much risk. What you have to do, this is very important, is you can't run a business unless you are willing to take the appropriate amount of risk. So how do you know what level of risk you have? And how do you know how to take the appropriate level of risk? Because Nana Kwame Bediako, he said his partner was just as risky as he was. He was like, we're both too risky together. So what does this mean? I have a little test for you, okay? I created a test, so I'm patenting this test, okay? I'm patenting this test. This is my own test. This is what I call my risk assessment test. And I want to put you all through this test right now, all right? It's a risk assessment test. And I ran this through with Jill, and Jill and I had a good laugh on this, okay? So here's my question, all right? I want everybody to take this question, this test. So the question is this. The question is, how late can you tolerate being delinquent on your mortgage or your rent? All right. I want you to think about this. How late can you personally think about this? Let's say you have a mortgage on your house or you're renting. I want you to think about how late you could tolerate being late. Are you either A, not one day? You can't tolerate one day. You have to be on time. You don't want any adverse credit issues. Or is it B, you could tolerate several months. You don't want to be foreclosed on, but you don't mind the negative credit. You don't mind the foreclosure proceeding starting, right? But you just don't want it to get to you being kicked out on the street. Or are you willing to risk it all? Are you willing to put it all on the line, right? And say, you know what? Hey, if we can't pay, we can't pay. Kick me out. Which one are you willing to take? Which one are you willing to take? Now, I'm real curious. Put this in the comments. Which one? Which one are you? Are you A, are you B, or are you C? Okay? Because I'm gonna keep it all the way real right now. All the way real with you. All the way real. So I see a lot of A's. I see a lot of B's. I see a lot of B's, a lot of B's. All right, you got, check out, look what's coming. A lot of A's, a lot of B's. See, look at this. A, B, we got B, we got B, we got A, we got, everyone's A, B. Now let me ask you this. Which one do you believe you need to be if you are going to be a successful $1 million plus 7-figure, right? Which one do you need to be successful as an entrepreneur? Which one do you think? Which one do you think? Because I've got an answer for you right now that may blow your mind. All right. So let me tell you this. Personally, I am C. Jill looked at all of these and she said, you're C, Paul. I'm C. I don't like to go to Vegas and gamble, but I'll put it all on the line when it comes to when I make a decision to apply my God-given talents and create a unique solution, I'll put it all on the line. I'll bet it all on me. I'll bet it all on me. But this is the problem. The problem is I don't always win. And if I don't win, that means my family, that means my boys, that means we're out on the streets. So what's the answer? Yeah, someone says, do you have children? Exactly. I have children, and I'm still willing to bet it all. I'm willing to bet it all, and I have children. This is me. A lot of entrepreneurs that I talk to, people like Nana Kwame Bediako, they're willing to do the same thing. They're willing to bet it all. And yes, he has children. But what is the answer? What is the answer? The answer is this. It's not A, it's not B, and it's not C. The question is, do you have people in your life that represent each category? That's it. Because my wife, she's A. Jill is A. She doesn't want to be late one day, right? Not one day. This is the reason why we make a great partnership. I'm willing to risk it all. She's willing to, she doesn't want to risk anything. We meet halfway. You need to have people in your life who can rein you back or push you forward. This is the reason why nobody is self-made. This is the reason why you can't do it alone. This is the reason why Nana Kwame Bediako said this. He said, my partner is the same person as me. We both put everything on the line. We can't do this, right? You can't do that. This is why I say this is thousands of dollars worth of game, because when you are building your business, you need to have people who are going to offset and mitigate, okay? You need to have people who are going to offset and mitigate. So it goes back to this simple point, and that is who is on your team. No matter if you are category A, you need people who are B and C. If you're category C like me, you need people who are B and A, all right? It's that simple. It is that simple, okay? It is that simple. All right. So, did you receive that? Did you receive that? Okay? Did you receive that? That will change, that'll literally change the trajectory of your business right there, okay? Let's get to this. Let's get to this. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. I appreciate this. I appreciate it. Let's get going. Let's get going, because I need to speed up right here, because I'll spend a lot of time preaching on these. All right. The next step. Remember, let me just underscore remember, all 10. You have to do all 10 of these steps, and I guarantee you're going to have a substantial uptick in revenue, whether this is a new business idea or existing business. Okay. Next step is this. I learned this from my favorite interview ever. Now, I know we're not supposed to talk about favorites, especially if you have a podcast, if you have a whatever, like it's not politically correct to say you had a favorite. Screw that, right? Life is short. I'm gonna keep it all the way 1,000 with you. This was my favorite interview. And the gems that this person dropped literally are gems that I have, like when I think back to like the one episode to represent what I want to have represented, it's this one. Okay. Now, the reason why I rain down on the tech bros so much is because so many of us start businesses, but we're already like, it's like, people say you're trying to get to home base, but you start on third base, or you're trying to get to home base and you already started on second base. It's like, you're already almost there. Your family's already connected. When you were growing up, business was talked about at your dinner table. You went to elite colleges or universities. It's like, though all of the people in that circle, I mean, that's great for you. But most of us are not in that circle. So anytime I see somebody come from the circle of, no, I had to grind, I didn't start on first base, I didn't start on any basis, then I pay attention. But if you are someone who started below ground, like you started sub-zero, the guest that I interviewed, he started at, I believe, the lowest starting point you could start from. The reason why is this guy was a gang leader. He was basically Omar from The Wire. He put together his own gang in South London, and his gang robbed other drug dealers. That's what this guy started out doing. He was 17 years old, and he had dropped out of school. He literally was running a gang, created his own gang. They were robbing other gangs in the south of London. At the time, he was considered one of the most notorious gang leaders in the UK. Now you fast forward just 10 years, and he's sitting at Prince Harry's wedding. He is the godfather to Richard Branson's godchildren. He does business deals all around the world, and he's literally considered, I consider him to be one of the most influential people in the UK. Definitely one of the most influential Black people in the UK, but one of the most influential people in the UK, right? How do you go from notorious drug dealer to, within less than a decade, brokering deals between the royal family and other people? How do you do that? No college education. How do you do that? I asked our next guest, Carl Loco, that, and here's what he said. Real simple. Real simple. I had to change my crew. Real simple. It's not rocket science. Real simple. I had to change my crew. Now, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about your crew. And this is where a lot of people get touchy, like, oh no, she's my girl. I've known her for 10 years. I know her for 12 years. But what is she about? Oh yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, we go back. Yeah. No, but what is he about? I'm here to tell you something real simple. Real simple. And that is this. That is, the company you keep will be indicative of your growth as an entrepreneur. The company you keep will be indicative of your growth as an entrepreneur. And I'm even talking about family right now. All of us have trifling cousins. Everybody has a trifling cousin. Come on now. Does anybody not have a trifling cousin on here? And if you don't have a trifling cousin, you are the trifling cousin, okay? We all have trifling cousins. You don't have to spend time with them. You don't have to call them. You don't have to talk to them, right? You don't have to. You need to take your precious time and you need to invest it in those in your circle who are going to give you yield, right? Who are going to give you yield, right? When you level up your circle, you immediately level up. Your circle is like a tide. You're on a boat, right? The tide goes up, right? Tide goes up, you go up. Your community is your tide, right? Your community is your tide. So the point here is this, is you have to create the right support team. The right support team. What's the right support team for high-performing entrepreneurs? Let me give you 3 areas, okay? One is risk offsets. We talked about this. What category are you of risk, A, B, or C? Whatever category you are, make sure you have people to offset your risk, All right. That's one area. Two is this: true industry thought leader. This is very important. All right. Very important. Paul, are you still with us? Shout out to my man, David. Always smile when I see my man, David Johns, one of my favorite people on the planet. All right. Paul, Pera, are you still with us? Okay. Because Paul, if you're still with us, when I say true industry thought leader is when you are growing your business, you need to understand what industry you're in. And everyone needs this. You need to have someone that you could call. I'm not talking about somebody who you send a DM to on Instagram because you don't have their phone number. Nah, that doesn't count. By the way, if you don't have the person's phone number, they're not your friend. Okay. Again, I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but just because you send them a DM and they respond back with an emoji, it doesn't mean they're your friend and you can't do business with them. Do you have their phone number? If you have their phone number, they're your friend. Okay. Now, you need to have somebody in your industry that you could pick up the phone and call and say, hey, yeah, this is Paul. Hey, what's up? Yeah, Happy New Year to you. I want to talk to the CEO of Match.com. Can you set up that email? Can you do that? Oh, I need to talk to the head producer of Love and Relationships over at Good Morning America. Can you? Okay, yes. You need to have, and I was giving love and dating advice suggestions because I will own in the dating space. I consider myself to be a thought leader. And I know we're not supposed to say you're a thought leader, but screw it. It's 2021. I'm keeping it all the way real, right? In the dating and love space, if you need a plug, I think I'm one of the best plugs you can have because I can call almost anybody in the world and set you up with a phone call, email, etc. You need to have the equivalent of me in your industry on your team because you need to be able to connect with people throughout your industry, okay? This is critical for you to be able to do this. So this is someone that you need on your team, okay? You need to have this person on your team. Next up is this. You need to have experienced business operators on your team, people who you could call who have either started or grown a business. Why? Because you're going to need a contract and they can give you a contract. You know, you're going to hire an employee and they need to tell you about, do you hire them as a W-9 or what? You know, I got to handle my taxes. How do I do that? Oh, you know what? I need to get an attorney. How do I do that? Oh yeah, I need to set up a business license for this. How do I do that? Oh, I'm going to operate overseas. So you need to have people in your circle that you could call and they will just literally say, okay, here's how you do that, right? Here's how you do that. If you could have these three people in your circle, then you are doing exactly what Carl Loco said. He changed his crew. He was here on the tie, he changed his crew, and now he can operate, all right? This is what we need to do. This is the step. The step is you need to have the right support team, okay? The right support team. All right, let's get to the next step. Where are we here? All right, step 5. Oh man, step 5 is the most recent step. The most recent step that I learned. And this is some history, if y'all don't know about this history. So the next person I learned this step from is one of my favorite families in the world. I was about to say my favorite family, but I got to put my family right up there too, right? I like my family. But this family right here is one of my favorites because it's this family. Let me plug this real quick. It's this family, the Reginald Lewis family, all right? If you know me, you know I ride for this family. And some of the biggest honor of my life was to interview Lloyda Lewis, Reginald Lewis's wife, and Christina Lewis, who is the youngest daughter of Reginald Lewis. And in BWP Connect in the community, let me shout out the community one more time. In the BWP Connect community, we have a book club. And we read this book. This was the last book that we read. And then as the last event in our book club, we had Christina Lewis in a private session give us what I consider to be one of my favorite discussions ever, right? One of my favorite discussions ever. And in the discussion, what Christina Lewis mentioned is she said that her father was the first person to fund Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign. All right. So just to make sure that y'all remember, Jesse Jackson ran for president, y'all. Jesse Jackson ran for president of the United States. And when Jesse ran, he went to Reginald Lewis. A lot of people don't know this story. And Reginald Lewis did two things for him right out the bat. Reginald Lewis let Jesse Jackson use Reggie's private jet. And what? I don't know why I just did that. Private jet, like I went around like it's a helicopter. Right? By the way, I've been on, actually was on a private jet once, and I know it's not good for it's not good for the world and the global footprint, but Lord, I'd love to have access to a private jet. I mean, so much so that we're putting together vision boards here in the family, and I've put a private jet on it because I think it would just change my life. Like I don't even need to drive. I would just like to have a private jet. But anyway, Reginald Lewis gave Jesse Jackson access to the private jet. And on top of it, Reginald Lewis wrote Jesse Jackson a check for $100,000. And that was the first of several checks he wrote to Jesse Jackson. So he was the first to fund Jesse Jackson's campaign. Now, Jesse Jackson, when he started his campaign, he was running against all these people, right? The news media was like, wow, Jesse is so professional, right? It's like he can speak so well, you know what I mean? Like it was like Jesse Jackson is so professional. He has a private jet, right? His campaign is able to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. He's so organized. He's so blah 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 blah, right? The news media come on now. How many of y'all been looked at like, oh, you're so articulate? You know what I mean? That's the way they did Jesse. It's the same way. You're so professional. Come on now. But anyway, so they said he's so professional. And then, so Christina's telling this story, right? And this is exactly what Christina said, which I thought was perfect. She said, it wasn't professional. He just had money. I was like, wow, Christina, that's how you break it all the way down. I like this. Christina was just like, it wasn't that he was not professional. You know what I mean? The bottom line is he had money. Money will make you look like anything you need to look like, right? This is the facts. This is the facts. He just had money. Money is the game changer. Money is the multiplier, okay? So what's happening right now in entrepreneurship, I think is very dangerous, right? There are a lot of people who are trying to sell their ability to help you grow your business. There are more business coaches than ever before. Now, the problem is that what business coaches do, because I know I'm a business coach also, I've coached lots of business coaches. I understand what business coaches do. It's a race to the bottom, not a race to the top. So what's happening, what I mean by that, a race to the bottom to the race to the top, is that the number of business coaches for people who have the ability to get funding, or are, maybe have a job where they make $200,000 a year and they already have income. Like, the race to those people is few. Instead, we're racing to the point where business coaches are going to folks who don't have any resources. But because of that, they're changing their pitch. So right now, the common business pitch is, oh, you don't need money to start a business. Literally, go Google this. If you literally Google like starting a business, no fun, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of experts who are out here to tell you, oh yeah, you don't need money to start a business. No, you don't need that. Let me tell you right now, you need money to start and grow a business. Now, do you need lots of money? No. Do you need VC funding? No. But you need to have some capital. You need to have some, what is called runway, to run your business. And the step that I have here is this. So Sharice says, see, I knew somebody was going to debate me. It depends on the business. No, Sharice, I respect you. I appreciate you being a part of this. It does not depend on the bit. Everybody needs some. Sharice, give me one business. Give me one business that doesn't need any capital. No, zero money. One business that needs zero money to start. All right. Tell me when Sharice Long has said that. And Sharice, by the way, I'm not trying to put you out here. I do love you. I do respect you trying to debate me on this. Notice I said trying to debate me. But Sharice, I'm telling you, I've been in the game too long, sis. Everybody needs capital. Everyone needs capital. This is the lie being offered up to us. It depends on the business, right? And the reason why that's the lie is because they want to pull you into the zone of, oh yeah, you go out here, you try to start, and the moment that you can't actually generate the revenue, you're gone. Okay? Somebody, please tell me, did Sharice offer up the business? I just want to know, somebody offer up a business and tell me what business you don't need to start. I mean, you don't need capital for. Okay, Sharice said, I help people with resumes. How do you, if you help people with resumes, who pays for the rent in your home, or the food that you put on your table? Or like, that's what I'm talking about. The reason why we get twisted on this is, yeah, you don't need capital to start your business, maybe not, but you have expenses. If you are an adult and you don't have the silver spoon, you have expenses. The problem with us as entrepreneurs is we think about the business burn rate, the business expense. We're not thinking about, oh wait, hold on for a second. At home, we have groceries, we have the light bill, we have all these things, right? Here's what I'm asking. What I'm asking is this. If you are going to run a successful business, you need to have a cash runway of 12 months. And I know that's a lot. But a lot of people even advocate for more than 12 months. They'll say you need to have 18, you need to have 24 months, okay? But you need to have a cash runway of 12 months. Now, what does that really mean? Cash runway, right? All that means is you have to be able to operate for 12 months without having without having enough income to cover the expenses, right? Every company has a burn rate. And if you were an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, right? As an entrepreneur, you have expenses for your business, and then you have personal expenses. What will get you caught up is not the expenses for your business, it's your personal expenses. That is part of your burn rate, okay? What you need to figure out is how you could go 12 months without having to worry about those expenses. Now, you're gonna say, Paul, 12 months, that's a long time. I can't even get a month. I can't even get 2 months. This is critical. The reason why this is critical is because guarantee when you start your business or you're growing your business, you're not going to be able to cover your revenue. Your expenses. You just won't be able to do it. All right. Secondly is you need to have space, stress-free. I will tell, as someone who has gone through being 4 or 5 months late on a mortgage, wearing the same suit day after day, like someone I've gone through that. You don't want to go through that. Why? Because not all of us are built to handle that level of stress. There's a reason why suicides are up for entrepreneurs. There's a reason why, unfortunately, why there are significant diseases that are now brought on by stress that entrepreneurs disproportionately have. Entrepreneurship is stressful as hell. And what makes that stress elevated is the fact that oh my God, I got to figure out how am I going to feed my family for the next week, right? If your focus is on feeding your family for the next week, you won't be able to work on historic solutions, learning about the avatar, create. You won't be able to have the space to do that. You just won't be able to do it. So you have to figure out how do you put yourself in a safe zone where you can have extended cash flow. Here are some suggestions on how to do it, okay? Top sources of cash, non-VC cash for entrepreneurs. Spouse salary. That's why marriage, partnership is important, y'all. I'm not going to belabor this one right now. This is the reason why it's important, okay? Spouse salary. This is how Jill and I did it in the beginning, right? This is how we did it on her salary, right? Also, the story that, I'm not going to go into the long story, but also Jill, my wife, she liquidated her 401k, right? That gave us a lot of startup capital. Next up is part-time salary. Yeah, you got to get your hustle on, right? There's no point where I said, don't go out here and not be Jamaican. Because let me tell you, I still to this day have 10 jobs. Literally, I have 10 jobs. Actually, I have more than 10 jobs, but I stop at 10 because if intellectually I tell you I have 12 jobs, you probably won't believe me, but I do, right? So I just say 10 jobs to make it round, but you have to have additional sources of income, okay? Next up is credit card. Yes, credit card, not good. You shouldn't go there. High interest rates, I get it. But if you got to pay 10, 12% to get peace of mind for a year, it's worth it. It's worth it. Okay. So that's a credit card. Next up, asset sale. Talk about it all the time. Back in the day, I had when I worked at my investment bank, I bought the first new body 3 Series BMW. I had the first one, I say on the East Coast. I'm sure there was somebody in New York that had it before me, but definitely in Virginia. All right. The first one, I love that car. It was silver. It was everything. All right. I always wanted that car. When I started entrepreneurship, I sold it. Right. I sold it. Asset sales, right? Very important. You got to sell assets. Next up is product pre-sale. This is very important right now. Very, very important right now. Product pre-sale. A lot of entrepreneurs are doing this. You have to be careful, though. You can't sell the dream and not be able to deliver on the dream. But if you are assured that the product that you're creating, you could deliver on whatever the promise is, product pre-sales, very important way of getting cash. Next up is angels. Angels. I want to just emphasize this real quick. This is not VC. We're talking about angels. The economy around the world feels terrible, feels bad. In the United States, we have nearly 20 million people who are on some type of financial assistance. 20 million people. We have nearly 1 million new people every week who are filing for unemployment. And this is the United States. So it is a ripple effect in the world, with the exception of China, which, by the way, is going to overtake the US economy in just a few years. But that's a story for another day. The point is this. The point is that the world, the economy, it feels bad. But I am here to tell you that there is another part of the world, another group of people, which probably equates to about 10 to 15%, maybe even 20% of the world, who are actually making more money today than they were making before the pandemic. Literally. And I'm not here to brag, but I'm that person too, right? There are a lot of people who are making more money today than they were making a year ago. A lot of people. And everyone's stuck at home and they can't spend money on vacations. They don't want to spend money on new cars because they're now going to be working out of home. They're not spending money on fashion and clothing because they don't see anyone anymore. They have a lot of disposable income. A lot of people out here have a lot of disposable income. And if you need a check for 1,000, a check for 5,000, a check for 10,000, you need those what are considered to be quote unquote small checks. There are a lot of potential investors out there for that. Okay. And maybe we'll even do a session on how to get access to them, but there's a lot of people out there. There's crowdfunding, clearly. Okay, crowdfunding also is something that you need to have a platform for. But if you have an audience, crowdfunding is a way to do that. Let me get to the bonus tip right here. The bonus tip is this. If you are growing a company and you are trying to extend your cash flow, extend your runway, the best thing that I have done personally, and I continue to do this with literally every business or project that I'm on, is share a percentage of sales opposed to paying direct hourly or annual salary to your staff or to people who come on as consultants or designers. I'm telling you, this is the way. The number one expense category. So the number one category that basically cripples this, that cripples your cash is salary, right? Is the expenses of others, is consultants. I gotta pay somebody to do my digital ads. Oh, I gotta pay for this part. I got like that's what eats you up. Okay. The number one way to extend your cash flow, I'm telling you, is try your best to share the revenue of your company as a percentage of sales. And guess what? You may have to share more percentage of revenue than you share, than you make yourself. And also, I want to underscore this. I'm not talking about share equity in your company. No. You don't have, and by the way, I wouldn't even suggest if someone approaches you and says, hey, I want to give you 5% of my company if you come work, don't do that, because the 5% will be worth almost nothing. I have advised many companies on equity back in the day, and I will never do that now. I'm advising a company right now. They are worth they do over $1 billion valuation. And they approached me and they asked if I would first take equity, a massive equity stake in this new project that they've created. And they were like, surely Paul's going to take equity. I mean, we're this $1 billion company. We're public. Like we have experience, launching all these companies. Sure, he's going to take equity. I said, no, thank you. No, pay me in cash. Yes, green. That's the language I speak. That's the language I love. That's my favorite color. I like black, obviously, but green I prefer. You know what I mean? And I negotiate with them for them to give me cash. So I'm not talking about share a percentage of equity, but get a percentage of sale. So I have cash and I take a percentage of the sales. It doesn't give me ownership in the company. Yeah, that's fine. All right. I could take the cash and I could take that money and go over here and now create things that I own. You see what I mean? So make sure that you are getting paid in cash, or you're sharing percentage of sales with your staff and team. It's better. It's a better win for everyone. All right. So the lesson here is this. I know this is a hard one, but you have to extend your cash runway to 12 months. All right, let's get to 6. Okay. And then let's get to 6. Let's get to 6. All right. Now, I had the biggest mind blow of my interview career when I interviewed Sharice Jones of Sassy Jones Boutique. Does anybody know Sharice Jones or heard of Sharice Jones, Sassy Jones Boutique? Okay, Sassy Jones Boutique. Now, this is the interesting thing. I interviewed Sharice at, God, it was November. It was right around November of 2019. I interviewed her in Washington, D.C. Okay. In November of 2019, I interviewed her in Washington, D.C. Sharice Jones, right from Richmond, Virginia. She has Sassy Jones Boutique. She told me that she was on target to do $5 million in sales by the end of 2019. So remember, this is November 2019. I interview her. By the end, she thought she was going to do 5 million in sales. Now, all right, good. My man Paul is still, I see Paul still with us. All right, Paul, good. I'm being accountable for you, Paul. So I'm making sure that you're still here. All right. So now, I didn't post the interview with Sharice Jones right away. Matter of fact, I waited a full year. And it wasn't because of the interview. It was just, I started the podcast late, whatever. But it was a year later when I was going to post my interview with Sharice. So I sent Sharice a text. I'll never forget this. I sent her a text. I was going to post the interview the next week, and I sent her a text. I said, Sharice, I hope you're well. We haven't caught up in the last year. I'm about to post our interview, but can you give me a quick update on your business? Because I just want to make sure, quite honestly, I wanted to make sure she was still in business, right? Because I've interviewed lots of people who, quite honestly, I've interviewed them 1 year, and the next year they're out of business, right? They're completely out of business. So I wanted to make sure she was still in business. So I interviewed her. Yeah, Sparkle Party, that's her. I interviewed her, and my man right here, by the way, I need to change this to my last name, man. I like that last name. I like that, all right? So she messages me back. She said, Paul, it's been a crazy year. Let's talk. I'm thinking, damn, if she wants to talk about this, man, I feel terrible. I feel terrible for her business. It means I can't post the podcast, right? I was thinking about all these things. We get on a call, and she said, and I said, how'd you do last year? She said, yeah, we hit our 5. And I said, how much do you think you're going to do this year? Why did she say, Paul, this year, 2020, we're going to do $17 million? What? 3 years ago, she was at about 100 to 200,000. Then, so that's 2018. No, actually, she was at close to 300,000 in 2018. Then 2019, she then jumps to 5 million. Then the next year, 2020, she jumps to $17 million in sales. No VC money, none of that. Mind blow. So I told Sharice, I was like, Sharice, we have to do a follow-up interview. I've got to figure out how you went from 5 million to 17 million. So we set up a follow-up interview. I did a follow-up interview with her. And she proceeded to tell, she said several things that blew my mind, but this is the thing that really got me, is between the time when she started her business, she was pregnant and she was fired from her job. I think she was working at Verizon. She was fired from Verizon. She was pregnant. She wanted to launch an accessory business. And what I oftentimes ask entrepreneurs is, well, like, what books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What books, right? And we oftentimes like to hear that because we then say, oh, wow, yeah, Paul, ask her about the 10 books that she read so that way I could read those 10 books, or ask her about her favorite podcasts so I can listen to those podcasts. Like, we want to consume so much information. When I asked her, what was she reading? What was she studying when she launched her business? And throughout the business, she said, not really anything. And I said, why? Like, you have an accessory business. Why are you not listening to all these podcasts? Why are you not doing all this? Here's what she said. I'll never forget this. She said this. She said, I didn't need to know that. I didn't need to know that. Think about that for a second. How many of us right now are listening to 5, 6, 7 business podcasts? How many of us are, reading every blog we can on business? How many of us are following, 30, 40 entrepreneurs? This is a massive problem. This is a massive problem. We entirely overeducate ourselves on entrepreneurship to the point where I literally know entrepreneurs who have been studying for 5 years. They haven't launched anything. They've been studying for 10 years. They've been studying for 2 years. They've been talking about it forever. Forever. Here's the tip. It's real simple. Don't overeducate. Everything you need to know. Let me zoom. Actually, let me do a full screen on this. Please listen to this, okay? Please listen to this. Everything you need to know to start your business, you already know. Everything you need to grow your business, you will learn through the process of executing on your business. Let me say this one more time, because I don't think everybody heard that, especially the folks that are sitting, the folks that are sitting in the back. Because when you do these presentations, you got the people in the front row who like, I'm spitting and the saliva is dropping onto your face. But then there are the people in the back who are, kind of listening, but they're on Instagram. So let me just repeat it real quick to the folks in the back. Everything you need to know to start your business, you already know. You already know. Everything you need to know to grow your business in the future, you will learn it on the journey of executing your business. That's it. That's it. That's it, man. That is it. Stop the overeducation. Stop the overeducation. It's real simple. Now, I'm not saying don't continue to listen to podcasts or don't continue to study. We need to study, but let me show you where you need to study. It might not be the areas where you're actually studying, okay? Here's where you should focus, right here. Where to focus. First is your avatar. You have to be obsessed with your avatar. You have to know everything possible about your avatar. Your avatar, without your avatar, you have no business. So you need to know everything he or she is doing, everything he or she is thinking. It's very important. Secondly is your industry and your market, right? A lot of us don't even know the market that we're in. Like the market is you have an avatar. Your avatar buys a specific good or service, right? So for example, let's say I'm Apple. Let's keep it real. Apple's first avatar was a white man who was working for a tech company, right? Working for like, well, at that time, not necessarily tech, but, was an engineer and was probably right around 27, 28 years old. This was the first avatar of Apple. Sound familiar? Sound like the founders? Absolutely. Most avatars of businesses replicate the founders. All right. Now, Apple's, they sold there. Now, clearly, it wasn't a phone. They had the Apple. They had the actual Apple computer. But the Apple computer was sold to that specific avatar. That became the market. That was the market. The industry they were in this entire technology industry that sold lots of things, semiconductors, right? Selling. It could be engines on planes. Like there was an overall industry, but they had a very specific market. It's very important for you to study your market and study your industry. So that way you'll be familiar with what trends are happening, what competitors are doing, how your avatar is reacting to certain trends in your industry. So you have to know industry and market analysis, and then business operations. It's real simple. Real simple. Real simple, right? Business operations. How do you operate the business? Like, how do you run a cash flow statement? Like, how do you, how do you grow the business? Like marketing, like business operations. It's real simple. Real simple, right? Avatar, industry and market, business operations. This is where you should be focusing your time and energy, not on, I'm not even going to name names, but this is it. This is it. All right. This is it. All right. All right. This is what I'm saying, man. My man's learning how to position his business. Get it, Dwayne. All right. So next up, step 7. There's only 10 steps. Step 7 is this. By the way, I may do some Q&A at the end. I just want to push through here. But yeah, you can have more than one avatar. But let me tell you this. If your business is under $1 million in sales, no, you have one avatar. Okay. This is where a lot of us get caught up. I fully believe if you have a business, you're doing less than $1 million in sales, you probably have one avatar. The question that you want to ask yourself, what share of the market do you have? Remember, you have to do market analysis. So you have to know, remember, there's a lot of customers, right? They're buying a product or a service. How many of your avatar, what percentage are buying your product or service? If it's less than 1%, which chances are it is, if you're doing, if you're in a viable market and you're doing less than $1 million, if it's less than 1% or less than 2%, there's lots of room that you have to grow. The way that you grow your business is that you need to focus on one avatar. You need to grow that avatar so that you become the number 1, number 2, number 3 provider of your product or service to that avatar. And then you widen out your avatar, or you add a second product or service to your existing avatar, right? That's how you grow. But let me not go too crazy on this. All right. So now, here's next up. Next up is this, step 7. So with Better with Paul, with the interviews that I do is I try to interview people from around the world, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of talent outside of the United States. A lot of us get focused on just the talent in the US. quite honestly, just from sheer numbers, there's more talent outside the US. Okay. And the hurdles and impediments to growing in some of these markets outside the United States, unregulated markets, are very challenging, very hard. Now, there was one person that when I started, because when I started the podcast, my focus was try to interview people from the US, from the Caribbean, from Africa, and from the UK. Like those were the four people that I was pulling from, or four areas, should I say, that I was pulling from. And when I started, immediately I kept hearing people say, you need to interview Denta. You need to interview Denta. You need to interview Denta. Now, I'm curious, who knows about Denta here? Who knows about Denta? All right. Because Denta, in my opinion, is one of the most important entrepreneurs we could follow today. She is Ghanaian, but lived in the United States. I mean, lived in the UK, is British as well. She has done, she is like the bridge between Ghana and the rest of the world. But what is most fascinating to me about Denta is that she started an award called GUBA, G-U-B-A, right? Ghanaian, UK, British Awards. And GUBA started in 2009, and now GUBA's evolved to more than awards. It's evolved to a full-blown company, right, that she and her husband run. By the way, side note, I was blown away in my interviews this past year to learn that I would say, if I were guessing, I would say over 50% of the Black entrepreneurs doing over $1 million US in sales, they were operating their businesses with their spouse. Operating their business with their spouse. I found that to be really interesting. But so, Denta was, so I interviewed Denta, had the opportunity. It was a massive honor to interview her. The connection was all messed up. She was in Ghana. Man, Ghana needs to work on their freaking internet connection, the high-speed connection. It's going to be crazy when Africa is fully connected. But the point is that I was able to get this interview in with her. And she struck me as someone who's really interesting because she had been running the GUBA Awards since 2009, and she had evolved so that she still has the GUBA Awards, but now she has, she has like a credit card company, travel company, like there's lots of components within the awards. And it struck me really interesting that she still focused on GUBA. And I was thinking, why? If you are already running this massive company, you've already been doing the GUBA Awards now for over 10 years, why do you still put yourself through all of the pain to lead the GUBA Awards every year? Why don't you just outsource that to somebody else? Why don't you do that? And here's what she told me. I'll never forget this. This is step number 7. Is she said, Paul, there's always room to improve. There's always room to improve. And when I really broke this down, what I thought about is this, and clearly the step here is continually improve your solution. So remember, going back to step 2, when I said, when we talked about the Swizz Beatz interview, and he said, you need to create a historic solution, right? You need to do something unique. Every day you should be continually improving your solution. But this is what hit me. I think there are 3 types of entrepreneurs. This is just my opinion, but I think there are 3 types of entrepreneurs, okay? I think there are the idea creators. That's one type. Actually, tell me, what do you think you are, okay? What type of entrepreneur? I think there's 3. One is you create ideas. You have lots of ideas. And this is very important because you have to continually innovate Every year you're running your business. Every couple months you're running your business. You have to continually innovate. So I think there's that entrepreneur, the one that's always innovating. Secondly, there's the promoter. The promoter is the entrepreneur who can take the idea and get funding for it, or sell it, or get on television shows, right? And do, like, you got the promoter, right? This is very important. That's the second type of startup entrepreneur. And then you have the third type. The third type is someone who I consider Denta to be at heart, and that is the tinkerer. The tinkerer. If my son was listening to this right now, he would joke and say, it sounds like you're saying the tinkler. I'm in potty joke state. Like, this is what happens when you have little boys. Everything is a penis joke, or it's about peeing. Like everything in our life is now. So not the tinkler, the tinkerer, okay? The tinkerer. You have the person that just likes to tinker, right? Let's try to fix that. Let's try to just make that a little bit better, right? So you have the idea creators. Which one do you think is you, right? Which one is you? Paul, Para, I see you still here, my man. Which one is you? Which one do you believe is you, right? So you have the idea creator, you have the promoter, number 2, or you have the tinkerer. Think about which one you are, okay? Think about which one you are. By the way, who has boys here? Who has one or more boys? And please tell, am I the only one that has to go through all these penis jokes? I feel like every day it's a new joke, or it's a new something about that. But anyway, these are the 3, okay? Now, this is what I think is very important. If you want to become successful as an entrepreneur, Paul, I'm talking to you, talking to everybody here. Everyone, this is very important. Very important. Sharice Long has 1 son. Oh, wow. I see somebody has 4 sons. Oh, man. God bless you. Whoever this person is, God bless you. I could not do 4 sons, man. God bless you, right? That is next level. You need an award for that, right? So the point is this. If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you must become all 3. You must learn to become all 3. You have to continually create ideas. You have to be a creator. Secondly is you must be a promoter. You must be a promoter. You can't outsource the promotion. You can outsource marketing. You can outsource advertising, but you can't outsource the promotion of your idea. As the CEO of your company, you are the chief talking officer. I always say that. You're the CTO, not the chief technology officer. You're the chief talking officer. You have to be able to continually sell your vision, whether you're selling your vision to your employees, whether you're selling your vision to your avatar, whether you're selling your vision to other thought leaders, right? You must be able to sell your vision. You have to be a promoter. And then third is you have to be a tinkerer, okay? The point here in this step is you have to continually improve your solution every single day. So Paul, I need you to be this person, okay? Every single day, you have to be thinking about how can you improve your solution? How can you improve it? What can you do to become better? What can you do to create a more historic solution, a more unique solution for your avatar? Right? Paul, I think you create masks. Masks, it seems like it's something that could be simple, right? No. How can you more efficiently deliver the mask? How can you improve on the design of the mask? How can you improve on the effectiveness of the mask? How can you change the material of the mask? How can you add complementary pieces to the mask? You have to every day be thinking about this. This should be what you're thinking about. You shouldn't wake up and think, oh, I've got to post something cool on Instagram. Oh, I better, no. If you want to be a real entrepreneur, you have to be thinking about that avatar. You have to be thinking about your unique solution every day. What can you do to become better at the delivery of your solution? Now, I don't want to go deep on this one, but let me just say this. There's something called the net promoter. Yeah, okay, Paul, I like what you're doing there. I see it. 3D, yeah. Paul's talking about I use a 3D printer and new trial mass daily. There we go, Paul. That's what I'm talking about. Get it? Every day, experimenting. I love that. Using a 3D printer. Paul, I like where you're at. I like what you're doing. Okay. Now, there's something called net or NPS, Net Promoter Score. Okay. I'm not going to belabor this. I just want to say this very quickly. When you're thinking about tinkering your solution, is that the way that you know that you have to continue to, or what you need to continue to work on, and whether or not you have what's called product market fit. Okay, so now let me go back here. Let me go off of this. When you launch your service, so let me go to Paul or your product. So Paul has masks. Okay, Paul creates masks and he sells masks. That's his product, and he has avatars. He has customers who buy his masks. Now, there will be 3 types of people that buy your product or service. All right, 3 types of people. You're going to have people who are detractors, people who are passive, and people who are promoters. We all have this. In everything that I do, right? I have the same thing. I have people who are detractors, people who are passive, and people who are promoters. Every time you do something, no matter how great you are, you know, I think this is one of the best products ever. But there are still going to be people who are detractors, people who say, nah, the iPhone, forget the iPhone. I like an Android better, right? There will also be people who are passive that say, yeah, you know, the iPhone is cool, but if you gave me a free Android, I would use a free Android, right? Or there are going to be people who are promoters who say, no, I ride for, I would not touch an Android. I won't even look at an Android. I won't even look at it. You know what I mean? It's all about the iPhone. So you have people who are promoters, people who are detractors, and people who are going to be passive. Now, the problem that a lot of us entrepreneurs have, especially upstart entrepreneurs, is that most of our people are passive. Most of them buy from us, but if I were to snatch your solution away, if I were to do that, oh wow, Paul, Redwood, that's what I'm talking about. It is tip, tinkerer, innovator, promoter, Paul Redwood with the gems. That's what I'm talking about, Paul. Thank you. So remember, detractors, passive, and promoters. Most of the people who buy from you, I'm telling you right now, are passive. They're passive. If I were to say you can no longer use Paul's masks or whatever the service or product it is, you would probably say, oh, that's too bad. And they go on to something else. You have to figure out how you could have the dominant number, the predominant number of people who use your product or service. How can you move them from passive to promoter? That's what you should be focusing your tinkering time on, right? That's the reason why I bring that up. You want to continually improve your solution. You want to continually figure out how you can move people from, okay, your product is cool, to I can't live without your product. How do you best do that? You have to talk to them. You have to engage with them. You have to survey with them. You have to observe how they use it, right? This is the tinkering process. This is the tinkering process, all right? So continually improve your solution, and Net Promoter Score, NPS, is one way of doing that. And if you want to read more about NPS, please Google that. All right, getting down to our last two. All right. I see my sis Ramonda's still with me. All right. So now this next one is coming to us. Actually, let me tell you this. I got to keep it real. We only have steps 8, 9, and 10 left. And 2 of them are coming from Jamaica. I'm just telling you right now. 2 of these are coming from Jamaica. So you know these are the truth coming to you at the very end. All right. The next step is a growth hack. We haven't talked a lot about growing here. A lot of what I've been talking about is operations and strategic thinking and creating a support team, which are all the things that you need to do when you launch a business, right? You have to create a foundation. But I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, Paul, okay, that's cool. I'm with you. I like all these. Okay. But how do I grow? How do I grow? How do I get more of those green things that you were talking about, right? How do I get more sales? This next step, I believe, is the single most important step you can take in 2021 to grow your business. And I say in 2021 because growth strategies change frequently. But right now, we could project out and we know what's going to happen in 2021. When I say what's going to happen is in terms of social platforms, etc. This is the number one way, in my opinion. And by the way, I'm not here to debate this. I'm sure people are going to say, Paul, I think it's digital advertising, or Paul, I think it's like whatever you think it is. I think you should buy billboards because nobody's buying billboards. Like, I know people are going to try to debate me on this, but let me tell you, I'm not here to debate. I'm just here to tell you the truth, okay? This, I believe, is the number one growth technique for your business in 2021, and it's coming to you from Jamaica. All right, so the next person I interviewed recently, when I say interviewed, is in the BWP Connect community, right? In the BWP, Lamar, I appreciate that, man. By the way, that means everything to me. I really appreciate that, Lamar. Because, let me just say is that, yesterday, literally, I probably spent about 5 hours thinking through this, putting this presentation together. And whenever I see something like this, I know it was worth it because I know you received it and I know it's going to change your life. And part of what I feel like I'm doing is ministry. This really feels like ministry to me. It really does. And to know that you received it, it means everything. So Lamar, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Okay. So this next person I interviewed as a part of the BWP Connect community, right? And in the community, she hosted, well, when I say I interviewed her, is she was giving a masterclass on how to pivot from your corporate full-time job to full-time entrepreneurship, which is a delicate balance on how do you make that pivot. And at the end of the presentation, I just kind of flipped the script and I started interviewing her. And the reason why I wanted to interview her is because, something that one of my mentors taught me, Enri Ugel, who taught me a long time ago, and that was whenever smart people do things, listen and observe. Like, it's real simple. Think about who you perceive to be intelligent or who you perceive to be in the know, and watch what they do. Just watch what they do. Just observe. It's interesting. If you were to look at all these entrepreneurs, I've like all these incredible entrepreneurs I've been showcasing, just go observe them. Like, just observe them, and you'll see what they truly believe in terms of their business execution, because they'll execute on how they believe. So whenever someone is smart and you respect them, observe and listen. So this person that was hosting this masterclass is someone who I hold a lot of respect for. She went to Harvard Business School. She was the CEO of Richard Branson Center of Entrepreneurship. And she started her own company called Soul Career. And I'm talking about Lysandra, for those of you who know Lysandra. What I really like about Lysandra is that she's a student. She's wickedly smart, but she does her diligence and she properly researches before she executes. And I asked her a real simple question. I was really curious. I was thinking, okay, you now, Lysandra, have come from one of the best business schools in the world. You ran, you were in one of the most prominent positions in the world, right? Working for Richard Branson. She actually, I think she worked at McKinsey in New York prior to that. Like she has all of the, she has all of the resume to suggest that she's someone who knows a thing or two about business. So now that she was starting her own business, I was curious what she was doing to grow her business. And here's what she told me, right? As I'm interviewing her through the BWP Connect community, which is a community that I've co-founded with my wife. It's an entrepreneurial community, right? And here's what Lysandra told me. She said this. She said, I'm focusing on doing more talks on platforms like this. Now, here's the reason why this really hit me. And here's the reason why I believe this is the most important technique for you this year, is because what she's doing is she's saying, I'm not doing Facebook ads. I'm not doing Google ads. I'm not buying likes. I'm not saying that she's not doing those things. I'm not focusing my time on engaging on comments, which I've advocated for in the past. Make sure that you're engaging in comments. All of those things still work. But if you want the most bang for your buck, if you want the most yield for your time, I suggest the hack is this. The hack is this. Create shared platform opportunities that focus on your avatar. Think about this. Think about this. What Lysandra did is I was talking to Lysandra as she was talking in front of a community that I've created called BWP Connect. It's a community of entrepreneurs. Lysandra, said to herself, Paul, your community is basically my avatar. So she then, and by the way, I'm the one who asked Lysandra to come in, but she's thinking, I'll of course do that. I'll of course come in and talk to your community. Why? Because your community is my avatar, and you're going to now put me in front of 300, 400, 500 people who are my avatar. She's thinking, I would pay the world for that, right? The point is this. She got that quote unquote opportunity because of her building the relationship with me building a relationship with her. But the larger point is this. Spend your time in 2021 thinking about the people who already serve your avatar, and think about how you could create shared opportunities where you could go onto their platform that is serving your avatar, and you can display how unique your solution is. You can display how credible you are. Now, how do you do this? Let me give you some suggestions. Here's the next steps on creating the shared platform opportunities. Here's what I suggest, all right? One is identify the mega, macro, and micro influencers of your avatar. So if I'm thinking about my man, Paul, right? Paul, who is your avatar, and who are the mega influencers? Who are like the people who have 1 million or more following? These could be media companies like Forbes. This could be individuals, who knows? Who knows? I don't even want to name any names, but individuals, right? Those are the mega influencers. Write down those people, 20 of them. Then think of the macro influencers. Macro influencers are people who have, anywhere from, and it changes, but anywhere from, maybe 5,000 on, to a couple 100,000 people. I would be considered a macro influencer, okay? Identify the people like me, the macro influencers that your avatar follows, okay? That influence your avatar. So your avatar, do they listen to Better with Paul podcast? Or are they watching this live right now? Like, think about that. Think about who are the people like me in your avatar's life. Then think about the micro influencers, the people who have the less than 5,000 followers. This could be people who have 1,000 people who follow them. And let me tell you, micro influencers are increasing in importance. A matter of fact, I have a friend who runs like an influencer agency, and he was telling me about how 4 years ago the focus was on the mega influencers. That's who brands tried to hire. Then over the last 2 years, brands would go after people like me, right? Then they shifted, and now they're focusing on micro influencers. Micro influencers. Why? Because micro influencers have a disproportionate amount of influence over their avatar, right? So the point is identify those people. So that's one. Identify all of those people, okay? That's going to take a lot of time, but identify them. Next is determine how you can add value to their audience. So think about this, Paul. So say Paul, so use me for example. Let's say I'm a influencer for your avatar. Well, if I'm an influencer, I have platforms, right? What could you do to add value to my avatars? What could you do? What could you provide? What insight can you give? You have to think about that. I get pitched every day. A matter of fact, I would say my assistant, I think that she sends me a rundown of various messages that that come in every day for me. The number one type of message is a pitch. Hey, Paul, can I come onto your podcast and do this? Or hey, can you come do this? Right? It's a pitch. The problem is that the pitches typically don't have any true value add. The pitches say nothing about my avatar, nothing about how they can move my avatar closer to their goal, right? Nothing about that. You have to think about the pitch. You have to think about how you can add value to the audience of the influencer. And then, last but not least, reach out. Once you know, hey, Paul, here's how I can add, here's what I could do to help your avatar get closer to their goals. Now, jump onto their podcast, jump onto a live chat, jump onto a Clubhouse discussion, which is popping. It is hot, right? Newsletter swaps, which are massive, right? Newsletter swap is just essentially, hey, I'm going to write, I'll write a value added newsletter. It could be almost like a chapter in a book, but I'll write it specifically for your avatar and you could send it. You have to think about this, but the point is, this is what Lysandra is doing to grow her audience, right? This is the growth hack right here. The growth hack is over the next year, focus on this. Like I'm telling you, do away with even lives like this. This is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to say this. I am a massive advocate for live video. But if you don't already have a platform, like I have 500,000 people between just LinkedIn and Facebook. So of course it's advantageous for me to go live because I'm going to be able to get a percentage of those folks. I'm going to be able to get my information out. But if you don't have 1,000, 2,000 people, I see people do lives all the time, like, because they say here, oh, Paul says you should do lives, so I'm going to do lives. And every day they do a live, or every week they do a live, and there's 2 people that watch the live. No, that's not the move. Different strokes for different folks. The move right now, unless you have a large audience, the move for you, and I'm not saying to stop doing live. I'm not saying to stop doing video. I'm not saying to stop these things. But what I am saying is disproportionately Figure out how you can get on more platforms. And the last point here is you don't have to get on mega platforms. If you have 1,000 people who follow you, 1,000 people who follow you, and someone else they have 1,000 people who follow them, and you all decide to jump onto each other's IG, and it turns out that you have the same avatar, and you jump onto each other's IG, or you jump onto it, you do a Zoom with each other, whatever it may be, that is of much more benefit than posting up a video every day on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you are, right? I'm telling you, this is the move for this year. Think about this. Work smarter. Work smarter this year. All right. We're down to the last two, okay? This next one is also about relationships. This next one is also about marketing. This next one is, to me, this was one of the biggest aha moments I had. And this is the one that out of all of 10 of these, all 10 of these steps I embody in the execution of my business. But this next step is the step that I've most stepped up over the last year. And this is where I'm going to be placing most of my time next year, this next step. So where did I get this next step from? Well, I interviewed Janelle Coy, one of my most popular podcast episodes. And it's interesting to when you think about this, because a lot of people who are doing podcasts, they think that you need to have big names, people with massive platform in order to grow your episodes or grow your downloads. And it turns out that Janelle Coy is someone who, relative to the other guests I've had, has a smaller social media footprint than everyone else. She delivered the highest number of downloads, right? The highest number of downloads. Happy New Year, by the way. Happy New Year, Mac. So how is this? I mean, not the downloads, but how is it that what she said was so insightful to me? So Janelle Coy is, I think she's turned 28, but she's basically the CEO of one of the fastest growing companies in the world, right? She's under 30 years old, right? Black woman, United States, at the helm of one of the fastest growing companies in the world. And her company, at the time when I interviewed her, she was making she was doing $17 million of revenue per year, right? $17 million. Now, here's the mind blow. When I asked her how she was able to generate that money, she basically said, LinkedIn. She used LinkedIn to basically generate these sales. But when I dug deeper on how do you use LinkedIn, right? Like, was she just sliding into DMs? Was she in comments? What was she doing? Is her strategy was basically this on LinkedIn. This was basically it. I moved the relationship off social. This was her strategy. Now what does she mean by that? What she means is that she would comment or slide into a DM, whatever it was, but she would very quickly move the relationship off social media. Very quickly. This is something that I want to underscore. This is very important, very important. A lot of us are using LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or whatever social site it is, Clubhouse, whatever. A lot of us are using these platforms to interact with people, and we think we're building relationships. Let me tell you, if you don't have their phone number, you don't have their email address, you really don't have a relationship with them. And let me say this, if you really don't have their phone number, you don't have a relationship with them. The key is you want to use social to connect. And then the lesson here is you want to graduate the relationships beyond social to email, SMS with, texting, live, which is, hey, let's get on a Zoom call. You want to move that relationship as quickly as possible to one of these platforms. All right. Look at this. Yeah, Tony's saying it right here. Right? We leave it's a no-go. Exactly. Right? This is the move. My man Chris is saying this is the move. Marshawn is saying these are facts, right? The point here is that, by the way, this is the same thing for dating. Same thing for dating. Because I'm in the matchmaking industry. I see it all the time. Most people on Tinder or whatever app you're using will go back and forth and never even have a phone call, never have a Zoom call, never see each other. Like, that doesn't count. That doesn't count, right? Why waste your time? If you're building relationships, you want to use social, move it to this as quickly as possible. Now, if you're moving it to email or a phone call or a live as quickly as possible, you have to be able to add some value. You have to be able to come up with reasoning to do that. There are a lot of people who say, hey, Paul, like literally every day on LinkedIn, I will get at least one message of someone saying, hey, Paul, great to connect with you. Let's jump on a 15-minute Zoom. In my mind, you know what I'm thinking? Why? There's so much that is going on in the day. I mean, like, really think about this. I'm not trying to be crude. I'm just trying to keep it real. Like, literally in my mind, sometimes I think, I wish I had 15 minutes just to play Minecraft with my boys. Like, I wish I had 15 minutes just to be able to spend this extra time calling, my mom. So if you slide into my DM and say, hey, let's jump on a Zoom for 15 minutes, it needs to be of high value. And that's not me, that's all of us. So the point here is that, remember, the strategy, yes, is move the person to a real life interaction as quickly as possible, but you need to have reasoning, you need to have logic behind it, which means that you can't just blanket statement. You can't blanket message 1,000 people and say, let's do a 15-minute call. You can't do that. If you're building a true relationship, you need to have the justification. You need to have the reasoning, right? It's very important, very important. All right. So that is that. And here's my bonus little tip right here. I've started over the past year, I've started using CRM. Customer relationship management software. I really think this is important, right? I really think this is important. A customer relationship. This is Lisa saying, well, I want to do Zoom with you. Hey, Paul, let me do a 15-minute Zoom. All right. But customer relationship management software is important. So I'm not advocating one over another. I've been using ActiveCampaign now. It has its quirks, but I like it. But the beauty of a customer relationship management software is it allows you to track the interactions between you and your audience, or you and your customer base, or you and your prospects, or you and your leads. And a lot of these customer relationship management software tools have artificial intelligence built into them now. And they could suggest, here's how you move the relationship to an SMS. Here's the message you should send. Here's when you should send it, right? The software is becoming sophisticated. We have to use the technology and we have to use these tools that are out here. So I think a customer relationship management software is great to help you to actually, actually manage, all right? Last but not least, this is so funny. I told my wife when I jumped onto this live, I said, I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Jill was like, I'll see you in 3 hours, right? And I made a point not to give the time of this because I knew that I wanted to take my time getting these out, right? And let me just say this right before I hit this last one is, if you want to replay, of this. Let me just go to this. If you want a replay of this, go right here. Make sure you're on the newsletter. Literally, what I'm doing is this replay is going to be able, you'll be able to see it on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube for 5 days, and then it's going to go away. But the replay is going to live out in our community, BWP Connect. All right. But if you get on the email, I'll make sure that you get the replay, and I'll also give you this entire slide deck. All right. So just to make mention of that. All right. Now let's get to 10. Okay, let's get to 10. Now, it was hard for me to come up with this number 10 because, or should I say, I thought it was going to be hard for me to come up with number 10 because I wanted to think about, okay, 10 steps that you could do to outperform, right? Grow the business. And we talked a lot about, thinking, and we talked a lot about strategy. We talked a lot about support system and team. We got the growth stuff in there and the marketing. But at the end of the day, entrepreneurship, and everyone here can attest to this, entrepreneurship is lonely. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong on this. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. Entrepreneurship is incredibly lonely. And a lot of people don't talk about that, how lonely it is. Not only is entrepreneurship lonely, but you saw the stats that I showed at the very beginning, 2.5 hours ago, right? Maybe you weren't even here for the beginning, but 2.5 billion small businesses out here in the world, most are making $36,000 US per year. So on top of it being lonely, most are not making enough money to keep their household afloat. That's creating an enormous amount of stress. So think about that. Why would you then dedicate your life to entrepreneurship? And I say dedicate your life is because if you decide to become an entrepreneur full time, you're not working an hour or 2 or 3. You're not. Even think about just what I'm doing right now. Okay. I finished writing and thinking about this presentation literally a little bit after midnight last night. So say 12:30, 12:45, right? Then this morning, I was up at 6:30, making sure everything was straight, making sure that my HD was running, connection was good, right? So, I mean, think about that. It's Saturday. And this is Saturday. This is technically my day off. This is light work, right? Light work. So the point here is that you have to grind. And if you want this thing, you have to grind. And honestly, man, I don't know if folks really understand the grind and the tenacity of the grind that it takes. But here's the larger point. The larger point is when I interviewed this next guest, coming to you from Jamaica, this was the most nervous I've ever been in my life interviewing someone. And I had an opportunity to sit down with a lot of heavyweights. And this person I was nervous about. I needed many drops of CBD before I jumped on this Zoom with this particular person. And the reason is because I know about this person's place in history. And I don't think that the world truly appreciates his place in history and how influential he is. As a matter of fact, there's a high likelihood that this person that I'm about to mention has influenced you. Okay? This is the point. Everybody already knows. Everybody knows. All right. This is the point. When I interviewed my next guest, it was Neville Garrick, who was the art director for Bob Marley. Okay. Neville Garrick, a lot of, I didn't even truly understand this until I interviewed him. But Neville Garrick went to school in California, and he was in school at the time of the inception of the Black Power movement. A matter of fact, Angela Davis was one of Neville Garrick's professors. Matter of fact, he said he had a crush on Angela Davis. I thought that was cool that he dropped that. Neville Garrick being at the center, the epicenter of the Black Power movement. So not only at the beginning of it, but it really kicked off in the Bay Area. He was birthed through the Black Power movement. He literally, he was birthed. And this shows you how nothing just happens. I mean, this story gives me chills. Gives me chills. He then leaves California and he moves back to Jamaica. And he becomes an art director. He leads art for I think it was the Observer, the Jamaican Observer, right? Newspaper there in Jamaica. And he is assigned to cover Bob Marley. So he goes down to a Bob Marley concert and he looks up on stage, and it was his first time seeing Bob Marley. And Neville says he just looked up and said, I know I need to be partnered with that guy. Just like that. And to some people, they hear that and they say, oh, that's crazy. So he just quit his job and he partnered with that person. But you know what's interesting? I've done the same thing. I did the same thing. I worked for a gentleman by the name of Enver Yücel, changed my life, billionaire out of Turkey. I met him, and there was something, literally, the first day I met him, I just looked at him, I was like, I need to work with that guy. I think that has a lot to do with energy, but I'm not going to get into my woo-woo energy thing right now. But I think a lot of that has to do with being able to observe, pick up, recognize energy. But Neville Garrick said, I need to work with this guy, Bob Marley. So long story short, he goes to work with Bob Marley. And, you know, at that time, Bob Marley in his crew, like he's already an established musician in Jamaica. And he's captain, like they call him captain, right, of his crew. Now, here's what's fascinating to me about Bob Marley and Neville Garrick. And here's where the lesson comes in. Before Neville Garrick enters the picture, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Peter Tosh, etc., they're still creating music. But if you go back and you listen to the music prior to Neville Garrick, the music is more of a documentary of what's happening in Jamaica. And a lot of it is biblical based because Bob Marley was Rasta. So it's biblically based, right? But a lot of it is documentary of what's happening in Jamaica. Now, Neville Garrick enters the picture. And this was the moment where I told Neville Garrick, I said, I believe, Neville Garrick, you're one of the most influential people in this world. And he's very modest. He said no. But I said, no, you're one of the most influential people in the world. And here's the reason why. When I asked Neville Garrick what impact he made on Bob Marley, here's what Neville Garrick said. I helped him see a higher purpose. Think about that. He helped Bob Marley see a higher purpose. What was the higher purpose? Well, if you'll notice, Bob's music after Neville Garrick shifted to activist music. Bob Marley became an activist in his music, even in his art, in what he wore, even if you look at the stage design. It's incredible. Neville Garrick was one of the first people to create stage sets. And a lot of people don't remember this, but Bob Marley, when he would go to tour Europe or he would go to tour the United States, he was playing to white audiences. Remember, black people, we weren't messing with Bob at that time. A lot of people don't remember that. Bob was getting love outside the community mostly. And what they would do is they would show up to these concerts with Black power, narratives and stories. And they would teach people about Haile Selassie. They would teach people about injustice. They would teach the audience to the point where Neville said that Bob started then reading. Before that, Bob was only reading, the Bible basically every day. You just read the Bible. Then he started reading books on Black power and books on activism. Think about that. Bob Marley is considered one of the most influential artists of all time. His music is timeless. As a matter of fact, his music is the rally call, was the rally call for a lot of what happened in Black Lives Matter over the past year around the world, right? Zimbabwe, right? You think about the independence movement and freedom. You think about Bob Marley's place in activism, and you think that it was Neville Garrick that helped him get to that place. There's no way you can say that Neville Garrick is not one of the most influential people in the world. You can't say that. You can't argue it against. You can't argue against that. What's the point? The point is this. The point is, a lot of people don't realize that there were multiple assassination attempts on Bob Marley's life. One, he was literally shot, right? And Neville actually gives the detail in the interview. What propels someone to keep going, knowing that what you do, you can die for? Think about that. Think about that. Like you think, okay, yeah, entrepreneurship, Paul, it's different. What he was doing, is it really that different? Bob had decided there was something that was so important to him that he was going to commit his life to it, and he's willing to risk his life for it. Is it that different for entrepreneurship? Is it? After being in the game for so long? No. I'm telling you. Do you know, I have literally seen friends die trying to grow their business. Literally seen them die. Literally been at funerals. Okay? Literally seen people take away time from what they consider to be the most important people in their lives, their kids or their spouse. Take the time away from them and focus it on something, their business, right? You have to ask yourself, is it about the money? No, I really don't think that that's what drives the biggest. I mean, they like the money, but I don't think that is the driver. The point is this. You must identify your higher purpose. You must know why it is you are spending 100 hours a week, week after week after week after week after week, year after year after year after year after year. Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Why? Every one of the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, they know their higher purpose. And they remind themselves of that higher purpose. It could be in insignia rings that they wear that symbolize certain things. It could be in statements that they put on their board. It could be on photos that they put on their phone. Whatever it may be, they know what their higher purpose is. They can then remind themselves of it, because that's the fuel you need to keep going, because this thing gets stressful. This thing kills people. So you ask yourself this, if you want to find out what your higher purpose is. It's a short question, but here's the question. Think about this. What are you prepared to give up your life for? See? You didn't know y'all were going to get this today. You probably thought I was going to come in here and tell you about how to do Facebook ads, right? You probably thought I was going to come in here and tell you, here's how you run a Facebook ad and grow a 7-figure business. The hell with that. That's not where it's at. That's not where it's at. The question is this: what are you prepared to give up your life for? Because my commitment to you is, if you can answer this question truthfully and then create visuals, whatever you need to remind yourself of this every day, you will be able to go hard in the paint every day until you get to the promised land, whatever the promised land is for you. You'll be able to get there. But without knowing this, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen. All right? So now, look at this. The exact question that changed my husband's life. That's coming to you from a very successful entrepreneur right there. Higher purpose. What is it? What is it? All right, let me give you all a recap. You guys want the recap? Let's recap the 10 steps to make $1 million business in 2021. Paul, make sure you're watching this. Okay. Coming to you in order. Know everything about your avatar. Remember, if without your avatar, there's nothing. So know everything about your avatar. Then after we figure out everything about our avatar, how do we give our God-given talents to create something historic, something unique? Then once we've created that uniqueness, then we've got to figure out our risk level, right? Because we know this thing is risky, but we have to make sure that we are prepared to go all the way or not go all the way, right? We have to know how far to go when, and that's being able to assess and mitigate for risk. Then we create the right support team. Part of that is people to help us offset risk, thought leadership, right? People to help us with business operations. All this first 4, this is like the foundation. You can't have a business without these. And let me tell you, I know a lot of entrepreneurs out here who don't have these 4 steps. You can't crush the game without these 4. Okay. Next up is, now let's start moving. We have our foundation. Now let's make sure that we have runway, right? Make sure that we have runway. Try to get it out to 12 months. Try to get out to more, so that you can give yourself the space to create, the space to think, the space to tinker, the space to promote, the space to come up with new ideas. Then after we have that space, we're not going to overeducate. We're not going to get, analysis paralysis through making sure that we read every blog and we follow everybody. We know that we have enough to launch our business, and through execution, we'll be able to grow, okay? We need to continually tinker. That's Denta, right? We need to keep working on that solution every day. What can I do to make sure that I'm delivering a better solution to my avatar? Then with the tinkering, we start to work on growth, right? Because we know we already have a great solution. So now what we're doing is we're creating shared platform opportunities. We know this is the #1 growth hack for us in 2021. There are people who have been spending the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years building up their Instagram, building up their Facebook, building up their Twitter, building up their email list, right? Building up their podcast. Okay, that's good. They've been doing that. They're the influencers. Now, how can I jump on to that platform? What can I do to help that person? Because if they want to keep their influence, they have to keep bringing new ideas to their avatar. So how can I help them get new ideas to their avatar? Let me jump onto their platform, and then I'll be able to grow my audience. Next is, we remember with Janelle Coy, the $17 million woman, right? I'm sure she has more than $17 million in revenue right now. But remember, graduate the relationships beyond social. If you don't have their phone number, it's not a real relationship, okay? Pseudo relationship. Get a real relationship. And then last but not least, we don't have to belabor this. Identify your higher purpose. All right, guys. That's all I have. I'm empty. When I come and do these, I keep talking until I'm empty, until I'm depleted. I'm depleted. I'm tired. And that's how I know I feel like I've served you. All right. So now I will end with this. Make sure you are on this, right? I think almost everybody's on this, but make sure you're on this. Okay, that's very important. Make sure you're on this. Also, too, I do want to pitch this, because you'll notice that I don't quote unquote sell a lot. But this is something that is literally, I believe, a game changer. And this is when I'm thinking about tinkering, this is what I'm thinking about every day. Every day. How do I tinker BWP Connect? I strongly encourage you to join us. I encourage you to do it. It basically is a MBA on steroids is what you're getting at BWP Connect. This year, we start our events. We're doing a UK event, a Jamaica event. We're doing a next New Year's. We're going to be in Ghana for New Year's, okay? We have hundreds of hours of master classes on every topic you could think of. Book club. I think we have over 20 therapists in the community. And we now started hosting, the therapists host sessions. It's like, we have a gentleman named Brandon Griffin who curates the top news stories in the world, specifically for entrepreneurs. It's like, I'm telling you, I can't speak more highly of kind of anything that I've touched than BWP Connect. I strongly encourage you to get in. Live sessions like this almost every week from various experts around the world, a community of people from around the world. Get in, okay? Don't wait, get into that. All right. I wish I could do questions, but I'm not going to, because I know I've kept you on for a long time. So I just want to say this. I just want to say, D, I appreciate that. D, I appreciate that. I want to say, there you go. All right. Latoya's getting ready to start a Zoom. Everybody get on the Latoya Zoom. There you go. Beverly, much respect. Natasha, much respect. There you go. Jennifer, in the UK, so it's the afternoon for her. And I'm so glad. Judy is a fire starter right there. If you need an accountability partner, slide into Judy's DMs. That's who you need if you want to be a part of that, part of real accountability. My man Ron is my big little bro, holding it down in New York. Can you say something about energy? You need to have it. I don't know what to say about energy, but my sis, Marsha Ann. Side note, one of the best, most angelic voices in the world, right there. Marsha Ann Donaldson Brown, right there. How do you join BWP Connect? Oh, I like that question. Right here, Daphne. Right there. You just go right there and you could join right there. Thank you. I appreciate that, sis. Sterling, holding it down. Thank you. Lana, filled with gems. I appreciate it. I appreciate on Periscope. I'm so glad you feel like that means the world to me. I really appreciate it. I will say this is yeah, and I see everyone, a lot of people asking about how to join. Yeah, just make sure you go right there and you could join. I just say I really appreciate it. I see you guys. I see it. I see YouTube holding it down, holding it down. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Okay. All right. So I'm going, guys. Stay blessed. I'm going to do these periodically. A matter of fact, I think I'm doing one more. I'm doing another masterclass like this next weekend. It'll be on Zoom, so I can get a little bit more funky on Zoom, because when this is public, sometimes I don't like to say certain things, but Zoom, I can go all the way in. So it'll be on Zoom. But I just want to say, make sure, my man Mark, make sure that you all think about these 10 steps. And Paul, Para, from we talked about earlier, make sure that you jump into my DMs, message me, so we can make sure that every month I'm holding you accountable on these 10 steps. And I wish you all the best. I really do. I wish you promotion, in 2021. I wish you health. I wish you love, unfettered love, right? Romantic love. It's very helpful in business. I wish you happiness. I wish you miracles beyond anything you've imagined. I truly wish that for you. But part of getting there is putting in the work. And that's exactly what we talked about today, 10 steps. And I hope you all put in that work. And I'll see you all on the other side. All right, I'm out. Good day.